welcome to another edition of Community Connection with Russell Haver of the Russell Haver Group at eXp Realty here in Las Vegas. And today we are very fortunate. We have one of the leading subject matter experts by card.present when it comes to preventing fraud and increasing profits for his clients. So all business owners that are watching, all friends and family of business owners, pay attention. This is someone that you really want to connect with. So today, what we have here today, we're fortunate to have Alexander Hall. He is the founder of Dispute Defense Consulting, and he is native here in Las Vegas. Alexander, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for that great intro.
No, like I said, I was very excited to get on here with you. Kind of reading about what you do and everything. And I think it's something that not only people need to hear, but really businesses need to hear. So if you could kind of, describe your business and what you do for business community leaders, et cetera.
So when I work with merchants, what I do is I help them develop a strategy and I put that into a blueprint for them. The blueprint, once it's all completed, will be referenced for the next week, for the next month, for the next decade, for the entire lifetime of the company. Now, the things that we focus on in this strategy is we're going to focus first on vulnerabilities. And a quick thing to go over is the fact that not all fraud involves stolen credit cards. There's fraud in policies. There's fraud in generated credit card numbers. There's fraud in checks. There's frauds in loyalty programs. There's fraud everywhere. Anywhere where there is a transfer of value, it's kind of a term that I'm trying to coin. Instead of thinking only about transactions, I tell my merchants to think about where your transfers of value are. So, for example, if someone buys something from Target and they return it to Walmart, well, Walmart is accepting that item in a return, right? And so in the industry, we learned that this is something that goes on pretty continually, and this is something to put eyes on. It's a very small example. Yeah, people will buy stuff from one vendor or use a stolen credit card to purchase something from one vendor or from one merchant, and they'll go to another merchant that sells the same product and try and return it in order to essentially launder that item and get gift card, loyalty points, refunds, and stuff like that.
How do they do that? I mean, how do different organizations accept that? I mean.
So I have a story for that one. I was doing work for a company. They were a distribution company for vape products, and they were doing about $400 million a year with all their subsidiaries. Now, within 6 months of being there, I was put in charge not only of the manual transaction analysis, but additionally the problematic portion of the warehouse. So like where returns were coming in, RTSs, AVs, and stuff like that. So during that time, I started to go and I looked at all the past transactions that were going on, and I saw a bunch of pallets that were built up where credit had been issued, but we didn't further process them. So we needed to clean all that up. So I investigated, checked everything out, and it turned out that we had already issued about $600,000 worth of credit for items that were either never purchased from us, items that we didn't even sell. We had boxes that were full of rocks to just have some weight to it. All of these different concepts came into play. And like I said, that was all over the last, I think it was 8 months actually, 8 months of transactions or of returns amounted to $600,000 worth of loss to the company I worked for. So once I discovered that, I put policies in place, put processes in place to get it in, process it, get it out, and calculated, I mitigated and prevented a calculated amount of about $1.2 million in the first 6 months. So I think that's an okay ROI.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Is it only large size clients for B2B, or are like what other kind of merchants or anyone would be able to take advantage of your services?
So I know I'm casting a wide net with this, but the reality is any merchant who starts up is susceptible to fraud, right? If all you do is in-store retail, you're going to be susceptible to counterfeit bills, counterfeit checks, counterfeit credit cards. When COVID hit, everybody in the world pretty much moved over to card not present transactions through web portals, telephone orders, mail orders, and then they introduced the concept of BOPIS, BOPIS, which is buy online, buy online, pick up in store, or curbside pickup. Right? Yeah. So that's something that everyone's familiar with. Well, that is the perfect storm for fraudsters. That's exactly what fraudsters want to interact with, because there's plenty of gaps in the processes that are easily exploited. So to answer your question, I do work with pretty much anybody. And at any point in time, if you don't have a strategy that you're referring to,
Mhm.
you need one, because as your
Mhm.
company grows, you want to know what to look for when you
Mhm.
adopt new practices, new policies, new processes, new systems, new software. You want to know how to look at this through the lens of a fraudster in order to see where your vulnerabilities might be.
So how did you decide to open up this business? It's fascinating. I did not realize. I mean, maybe I'm a simple man, but when I think of fraud, I think of like credit card fraud. But I did not think of all these other things that occurred. You know, like you said, since COVID. I mean, we all became like the people that were, into the buy online, pick up in store, et cetera. So
Right.
how did you come about starting this up?
So that story that I just told you, I was working as an employee for a company, and when COVID hit, I ended up being I'm sorry, before COVID hit, I had
Okay.
been promoted up to be the division manager of the dropship uh, division, right? So
Mhm.
while I was there, I was helping like 60 different accounts establish their fraud prevention strategies, as well as do their chargebacks. I wanted to help them. We're a service
Mhm.
provider for them, so
Mhm.
we needed to help them out. So
Mhm.
once COVID hit, I lost all of that, right? COVID hit, and it was the right decision for the company, no hard
Mhm.
feelings, for them to
Yeah.
just dissolve my company. It wasn't producing as well as it could have, especially because that correlated with vape industry regulations and stuff like that. So it was a smart decision, and
Mhm.
essentially I was laid off. When I decided,
Mhm.
okay, I've done this for a big company. I've done this
Mhm.
for 60 other companies. Let's see what I can do on my own. And so
Mhm.
since then, I started Dispute Defense Consulting in about March of 2020. And
Mhm.
since then, I've been working with service providers all over the world. I'm working with merchant service providers. I'm working with payment processors, working with plenty of merchants,
Mhm.
many different industries. I've been featured in webinars. This thing has really
Mhm.
taken off. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to more of it.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, what are some things that customers really love about your services?
First and foremost, the ability to turn data, metrics, stats, figures, numbers into action. That's the
Okay.
thing that payment processors love about me. That's the thing that service providers love about me.
Mhm.
And because of my uh, experience in the past, I'm able to pretty much connect the dots beneath the data and really
Mhm.
outline what policies or what methods are being employed by fraudsters, so that they can be better prepared in the future.
Okay. So, what about like what are your goals for the next year, like business wise? What are you looking to do? What should customers or potential customers be excited about? What's coming up?
A lot of things are coming up. So I have I ultimately have 14 years of experience related
Mhm.
to fraud prevention.
Mhm.
And what I've put together is a course called Think Like a Fraudster. Now,
Oh.
the basis of this course is indeed to get the psychology, the method development practices, sophisticated exploits, just to get a knowledge about that. The more
Mhm.
people are aware of what has been done in the past, the more they
Mhm.
can start to see how these pieces fit together and might stand to affect their own operation. So the reason that I developed this course, it's a 12-week
Mhm.
course with weekly classes, and it's all live for interactions. I want to make sure that all my attendees understand what's going on, right, and can
Mhm.
ask all the questions. So the
Mhm.
reason for this is fraud is always behind the eight ball. Fraud is always behind the curve. Fraud prevention, I should say.
Mhm.
There's two reasons for that mainly. One is every software requires R&D. You have to put funds into it. You have to develop it. You have to do all that. So that puts you behind. When you discover this new method, right? Then you have to develop a software to catch that method and to put those pieces of the puzzle together. So that's
Mhm.
one reason why it's bad. But then two, or why it's behind the curve. The
Yeah.
other reason is because the development process for a lot of methods aren't known by a lot of fraud fighters. So
Mhm.
they don't have, I should say, fraud prevention is based on the failure of fraudsters. When a fraudster gets
Mhm.
busted, we learned how he did it. When
Mhm.
a fraudster gets ratted on by someone in his crew, we learn about it.
Mhm.
When someone oversaturates the market, goes and attacks one merchant 1,000 different times in 1 month, they learn about what that process looks like and report it to the network. It's action first and then a response. So what
Mhm.
I aim to do with Think Like a Fraudster is to gear us up to be ahead of the curve. That's the
Mhm.
goal.
So, how do people find this course? Because I mean, 12 weeks is very extensive, which is great. Like that is something where it's like they're going to get a ton of value in it. How do people sign up for this course? Where do they go?
So I'm currently trying to figure out the payment part of it. I have the course
Okay.
syllabus outlined.
Okay.
If anyone wants, I'm going through the A cycle now with a lot of industry leaders to get some feedback.
Yeah.
The B cycle will open up in the last quarter of the year, and in order to get access or early access, you can contact me on LinkedIn, Alexander Hall at Dispute Defense, or email me, alexanderhall@disputedefenseconsulting.com, or just go to my website, disputedefenseconsulting.com.
Very cool. Very cool. So you got a lot of good stuff going on professional-wise. Let's learn a little about you as the human being here. What personal goals you have for the next year?
So it's not going to be for the next year on a calendar year, but in the next 12 months, I want to finish my wife and I's album. She's an opera singer, and I have loved metal music and guitar and classical music my entire life. And at age 33, it's time to put an album together. So
like in the studio you're talking about, like putting together a real album. Wow.
Absolutely.
That is very cool. So you said you started it, but you haven't finished it yet?
Yeah, we've got about 20 tracks done, or not done, but 20 tracks, about 70% done. And there's just a lot of tweaking and a lot of work to do to it in order to get it to be a finished product. But that's, my wife laid down the law. She said, look, it's time. So I went and bought a couple of guitars. I have a custom guitar in the works over at Roman Guitars. And that's one thing that I love about being local is Roman Guitars is here. That's okay. Anybody who's into guitars, go check them out.
Okay. And where are they at?
So they are over what are those cross streets? I take Trop and is it Arville? Trop and Arville, and I go north, and then they're at the end of the street on the left-hand side. So it's right over in that area.
Oh, okay. Very, very cool. And oh wow, that is so cool. Yeah, I'm married. I understand about laying down the law. I never win. I just win in real estate. That's pretty much all I ever win at. I don't win. But that's really cool. So now you've been in town for a long time. How long you been here for?
I have been here for 27 years. 27 years. Yeah, I moved here when I had my 6th birthday here. Yeah.
Your 6th birthday. That's awesome. So you've seen so much. I mean, how much has it changed in your eyes over time?
When I first
world.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. The expansion south, the expansion north. I mean, this is before Aliante. This is before the 215 interchange out of Buffalo. This is back when the Showboat was here. This is back when, I mean, Nevada Palace was down there, not the Eastside Cannery. Oh yeah, I've seen dramatic changes with everything across Vegas, and now we've got the resorts that just hit downtown. All these new casinos. The Palms Place wasn't even up. Yeah, the list goes on. Yeah.
Are you going to go to Resort World when it opens?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Heck yeah.
I heard it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I've seen the pool, and I've seen pictures of the floor. It looks so elegant. Yeah, I definitely got to go check that one out.
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite places, like restaurants and things like that you like to go to?
So I recently became really, call it an obsession with food, right? And I'm already big enough, right? So I'm already big
enough. You and me both, my friend. Do not worry. Do not worry. No judgments here.
But so I have my daughter and I have 3 stepsons, through my wife. So we're a pretty big family, right? So cooking has become, a part of life, 2 times a day, 1 time a day, whatever it is. And then you're reusing ingredients. So anyway, restaurants is just numero uno, right? So the one that I want to make sure that I recommend here in this setting, that would be perfect, is Top Oyster and Sushi, which is on the other side of town. It's on, where Ethel M Chocolates is, Sunset and Sunset, right? Yeah. In the Smith Shopping Center, Top Sushi and Oyster, or Oyster and Sushi, however it's worded, right over there by the casino, is our go-to. If we're ever going to celebrate anything, my wife and I, the kids, we all go straight there. There's no question. So if you like sushi, that's a place to go.
I love sushi and I love oysters. So you're telling me that it's a go-to spot?
Oh yeah. And we've been to probably 20 or 30 spots, over the last year, a couple of years. And that's the one. That's the one. We try to find someone to knock it off of its pedestal and can't find anyone.
Wow, fascinating. So yeah, I really want to thank you for coming on today and sharing. Is there anything else that you feel that needs to be shared with the people out there?
Uh, Nothing additional, but I'd like to reinforce just the fact that, with everything that happened in COVID, the landscape of fraud has
Hmm.
changed. And
Hmm.
maybe there is another supplemental item. Be aware that now fraudsters are not just, you know, fraudsters. They're not just criminals and just bad people. Another trend that's
Hmm.
popped up is people who are otherwise good people uh, abusing the chargeback system. So what that means is, Bob over here has a credit card for, $10,000, whatever it may be,
Hmm.
goes
Hmm.
and makes a purchase, a legitimate purchase, gets the item shipped, gets the item, picks it up, whatever it may be, and then within the next 6 months files a chargeback. That's called in the industry, and I don't like the term, but in the industry it's called friendly fraud, but it should be called chargeback abuse in my words. This is an authentic person using their
Hmm.
legitimate purchase or their
Hmm.
legitimate payment information,
Hmm.
making a legitimate purchase, and
Yeah.
then filing it as fraud in order to get their money back, all to the detriment of the merchant. So that's one thing that is another part of the landscape shift of COVID
Hmm.
in 2020 that I feel everyone should really be aware of. That, and personally, so that to the people who aren't business owners, pay
Hmm.
attention. Just pay attention to your identity. Go sign up
Hmm.
somewhere, get your credit report updates every week, every month.
Hmm.
Um, be aware of what pops into your email, even your spam folder.
Hmm.
People have accounts opened under their name and have no idea about it forever. And
Hmm.
another thing, a 1 billion passwords was just found on a leaked was just leaked to the dark web. A billion password username
Wow.
information. It's the
Yeah.
largest in history.
Jeez.
Change your passwords today. Change it monthly, and don't make
Hmm.
it your pet in the number one. Like, exceed the requirements, and then just recycle. Don't recycle, but get into that flow, because this is very real. People are
Yeah.
really taking advantage of people who aren't paying attention to their data. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, this.
Sorry to be the
No, no, no.
banter.
No. I live in the reality of things too, and I once had someone that opened a $30,000 credit card in my name, which I thought was pretty hilarious. So I get it, but there's so many other things that are affecting merchants of all sizes, right? I mean, wow. I mean, that's amazing. So just to reiterate, where can people find you again? So we make sure, because I mean, I think everyone out there really needs to actually, if they're, like I said, business owners, need to be able to get in touch with you, especially with with what happened after COVID. I mean, it's been insane. So
Absolutely.
reiterate where everyone can find you again and get in contact with you.
So if you want to get in contact with me for cooking or music, go to Facebook. But professionally, LinkedIn, Alexander Hall. I'm the founder of Dispute Defense Consulting, and there's not many Alexander Halls for some reason, it seems. So I'm easy to find.
Okay.
Dispute Defense Consulting on LinkedIn as well. I'm also on Twitter lightly, so that's not too reliable, but I am there.
Mm-hmm.
Email alexander@disputedefenseconsulting.com, or you can fill out a contact form at disputedefenseconsulting.com, and we'll go ahead and take care of you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. It was really an eye opener, and I'm excited to hear about what happens with that album. And I'm going to take your recommendation and get sushi and oysters, and I will find you if it's not good, my friend.
You won't be disappointed. It's awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. And everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today and checking this out. Like I said, if you want to get in touch with him, he's got all the info for you, and you know where to find me. All right, guys, have yourself a great day.